Speaking of a Buffalo Bill, I actually couldn't stand this guy because every time he was on the football field, he killed the New York Jets. There are guys that really stood out to me over the years. This man stood out from all the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now talking to the first time on the Job in the Mouth show, 13-year NFL linebacker, the one, the only, Lorenzo Alexander.
Joba.
How are you?
Yeah, appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate it. I was about this close to being a Jets player, though, when I became a free agent. When Rex Ryan was there, he was on me heavy, but I ended up going to Arizona and got Rex when I got to Buffalo. So sorry about that. But I'm going to fact check you real quick. I got 15 years. I know Jets fans don't know how to count. It's all right. 15, you wouldn't know. It came out in 2005. They don't count the practice squad years, which I don't understand.
I don't want to do it. You know why? Because every time I remember you, you made me sick to my stomach. That's all. Every time I saw you on the football field.
I'm not 57 no more. That's 𝐵𝐽𝐵𝐿𝐵𝐿. That's my guy. It's his number.
Yeah, well, guess what? I don't care what number you are, 57, 99, or 100. You pissed me off every time you were on a goddamn football field. I couldn't stand you. But I get a chance to see a little bit of what you're doing right now. It's pretty damn amazing. It really is. Off the football field and what you do, not only for kids and all the different junctions you're doing right now. It's a pretty amazing. But I want to go into this past season, the Buffalo Bills. And Josh Allen has been one of those guys that have been picked on by many different people around the league. One of those guys, Jalen Ramsey, a guy that, since he was drafted, took shots at him in the GQ magazine, and Josh Allen very quietly says, I'll do my talking on the field. I'll do my playing on the field. There are many different defensive players over the years that say, oh, this guy's overrated. He's not good. But, hey, this is a guy that has been the best quarterback, really, besides Patrick Mahomes, really throughout the league. Your thoughts to why everybody hates Josh Allen in the league? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say everybody hates him. He had a little bit of a dark cloud when he came into the league, and so it may be some of that agenda kind of attached to it when he got drafted. I know it was one of the things that we even talked about internally when he was coming out. And then, Jalen just likes to talk too. He likes to find. He's one of those guys. He has to find something to talk about. But obviously, Josh's talent, his work ethic is spoken for itself. And he's gone out there, won an MVP, and you knew he was special. Just the way he related to guys in the locker room, the way he worked at it. I remember him getting hurt his first year. I was like, dude, man, you may want to sit out because you're gonna be in this league a long time. He was like, nah, dog, I'm about to go out here and grind it out. His rookie year when he had I think an elbow or something. And so guys get behind that, and once you're around him, you love him. So I've had nothing but great respect, and really been cool to see him grow. And I was actually back there for training camp, so that was cool to see his maturation process of where he was as a 21, 22-year-old kid to now being a grown man, married, and being a leader in a franchise quarterback.
So I want to go back to the year before. 2017, you guys broke the playoff drought that was since 1999. What was that season like, the end of it? Obviously, the Ravens had to lose for you guys to get in. What was that whole celebration like when you guys got in?
It was mayhem. It was great. Really enjoyed it. Obviously going into that year, I don't think people even thought we had an opportunity to go there. We had Tyrod Taylor was our quarterback. We had let go a lot of great talent, guys that hadn't quite bought into what Sean McDermott was trying to build in Buffalo. And so, I thought most people thought it was going to be an 18-year drive, but we found a way to kind of galvanize, come together, trust the process, as Sean always says, and put ourselves in a position to where we had to get some help from Cincinnati. And it was really cool. The locker room erupted. You could see Kyle Williams crying. He had his kids in there because he had been there, 12 years, I think, at the time, and hadn't ever been to the playoffs. So it was a special moment, obviously for us, but just the fans of Buffalo. Bills Mafia, nobody competes with them. I've been to 5 organizations and then have the opportunity to travel other places. It's just nobody competes with their passion, love, and it's in the stadium and away from the stadium as well, as far as the way they support guys in the community as well.
As a fan, you always hear about Bills Mafia, and I wanted to get your take because we see it as fans, but do you guys feel that their presence on and off the field, and is it as crazy as it seemed in some of the pictures and the videos?
I never got to really partake in a lot of the pregame activities, but I've had friends that come out. My homeboy, the first year we went to the playoffs and played Jacksonville, actually was out there from Oakland, grew up with him. Charles Ellis was out there jumping through tables, and it's infectious. So once you get around, you kind of hanging out, and you're like, man, this is dope. Since retiring, I've had an opportunity to kind of get into the mix and really feel it and see what it's like to experience the energy, and you just love it. And I think from an off the field perspective, you guys know that I'm really involved in the community and trying to put on events for kids, free stuff, fundraisers, so we can do programming. And Buffalo was probably the only place I never had to worry about getting volunteers. People are always signing up, trying to figure out how they can get involved, how they can donate. You can see that throughout, right? When Josh's grandmother passes Damar Hamlin, the amount of money that's donated out when Cincinnati won. I can't think of the quarterback right now, but Redhead, TCU, right, donated to him and his thing. I mean, they're just very philanthropic in a lot of ways, and just all about being great neighbors. So it's really cool to experience. And the cool thing is that they're across the country. They're everywhere. I'm in Phoenix right now. I can go to 3 or 4 different Bills bars and feel like I'm back in Buffalo.
We are talking to former 15-year NFL linebacker Lorenzo Alexander.
Yeah.
You see, I added that. I gave you a nice little royal flush. Speaking of royal flush, another organization you played for was the Washington Commanders, and an organization that had a rookie quarterback in Jayden Daniels that exploded right off the paper his rookie season, took his team all the way to an NFC title game, and has an opportunity now with Dan Quinn to make even more noise his second year. We've seen this many, many times in their sophomore years. 𝐶J Stroud, he was a guy that he had a good season, but he kind of took a step back a little bit, needed to figure things out in the second half of the season. What type of quarterback, when you watch as a defensive player, do you see on tape that Jayden Daniels is? I
mean, he's extremely versatile, right? He's a young quarterback, and if you want to compare him to 𝐶J Stroud, I think they both did a really good job as far as understanding where they wanted to get the ball to out of their hands pretty quickly. And that's typically what makes it easy to compete against rookie quarterbacks, because they tend to hold on, they see ghosts, and they end up throwing you the football. And those guys in the early careers,
I see what you did. I see what you did. I see what you did. I see what you did, smart ass. I see what you did, you smart ass. I saw it.
I don't know what you're talking about, but the ghosts that happen, from time to time. But what I'm saying though, right, and then he's also a dynamic runner, right? The linebacker running counter with him, pulling guards, and he has that extra it factor about him. And again, being around him, being here when he played for ASU, getting to see him up close, you get to see the type of worker he is, hear coaches talk about him, teammates, and then obviously going to win the Heisman. So guys really respect him, what he does. He goes about his work the right way. Now, he may step back, right? Scary Terry isn't signed yet. At least I don't think he is. So that's going to be an issue. And then defenses have a whole year to kind of assess and really game plan towards his strengths. And he's going to have to make the adjustments on the fly in order to kind of repeat or kind of mimic what he did as a rookie.
So the reason why I said you were a smart ass, because I'm a Jet fan, and in his rookie season, there was a quarterback that said on the football field against the New England Patriots that he sees ghosts. And
right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yes, and I want to throw the F up because, of course, a Bills player or a Patriot player always wants to bring up the butt fumble of Mark Sanchez or the damn I see ghosts out there in Sam Darnold. That's why I said it. That's why I thought it was like, you know what? They see ghosts. Yeah, I see ghosts every time I watch my goddamn team play football.
I want to relay back to your time with the Arizona Cardinals. You were coached by a guy that became the Jets head coach later in Todd Bowles as your defensive coordinator. And also Bruce Arians, one of my favorite coaches, very fiery guy, always had some very interesting statements. What were they like as coaches in your time in Arizona with Carson Palmer and a future first ballot Hall of Famer Larry Fitzgerald?
Yeah, well, there's a lot in there. Well, BA and Todd are very different. BA is very in your face, cool uncle type vibe, but it's going to MF you and let you know how he feels in the moment if you're not playing up to the certain standard. Todd is more laid back, chill. He's going to hit you over the head, but he does it so smooth. You're like, man, he hit me kind of hard. So they coach different, but obviously they've been around each other. They go about it the goal is the same. They just deliver it differently. But love both of them, very aggressive coaches, personal coaches that care about the players, and they play a great style of offense and defense as far as the way they compete. And then Carson was awesome. Obviously, we got him from Oakland that year. He was an SC guy that I competed with or against when I was at Cal back in the Pac-10 days. And so that was just a real cool experience. And now I get to see him, right? You always have these notions of who a guy is, SC, prima donna. They were I think he had won the Heisman that year too. So you just get an idea, and I'm his rival. But getting around Carson, seeing how he was as a husband, a father was really cool. And then you can't say enough about Larry Legend. Again, always in the community, always doing things at the highest and most elite level. Has transitioned really well, doing some big things. His son obviously just got a scholarship to Notre Dame. My son is actually going to Brophy, where his son goes to now. But just a really good friend I've had throughout the years, and has done everything first class. And so just really fortunate to be around those type of dudes throughout my career. And that's really how a guy that goes undrafted finds a way of playing 15 years, because you start getting around some dudes that do it the right way. And if you're smart enough, let me do a little bit of what he's doing, and make it my own. And so very fortunate to be around, all four of those guys throughout my career.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something I want to ask. My son's a sophomore in college, and it's one of those things to have kids. We talked about on the show and how that transgress, and sometimes it could be a good thing, sometimes it can be bad. Going from somebody that was undrafted to play in 15 years, what do you think sets you apart of having the chip on your shoulder, or was it just, hey, I'm an open book, I'm a sponge, I need to try to, because I know I'm talented enough, I believe in myself, but I got to show everybody else. And like, what sets you apart? Because you easily could have been like, all right, I'm undrafted, whatever, I believe myself, but nobody else does. And you could have folded and said, you know what, I'll go do something else. But obviously you did.
And I got close to that point though too. I mean, I was bouncing around a little early in my career, got cut a couple of times. Then I got on to like the traveling kind of circuit where you flying in, doing all these workouts across the country, and people keep telling you no. And from being a guy that was the dude, right, that's a huge hit on your ego, your pride. And you're like, man, I'm not going to continue to put myself in these situations. But I had good people around me. So that, again, my mom, my uncle, right, they believed more in me during that time than I did myself, and really encouraged me to continue to show up. And the only reason why I got on Washington is because my man Alex Guerrero, who's Pat P's business partner now, pulled his hamstring in the workout. That's how I got into Washington. And once I got that taste, right, of having an opportunity to earn it after being cut, I shifted. I took on a different level of professionalism as far as how do you have to work, the type of effort you need to have. I think a lot of my faith, once I got saved, I was around Sean Taylor when he passed. I was in Washington for that, being grounded. And, you talk about love, patience, kind, joy, being joyful, being gentle, having self-control. Becoming a man in a lot of ways allowed me to then start really maximizing and cultivating my talent to the full ability, so that a guy that's, as far as the NFL, when you think about how athletic I am, I'm probably in the middle somewhere, could then extend the 15-year career. It was really having an opportunity to mature, being around guys like James Thrash, Ronaldo Wynn, London Fletcher. Those guys really helped shape me from a mentality standpoint and helped ground me and help me mature as a man. And then I started taking off. And that's what I see with a lot of kids or young men that fail. They have all this talent, right, that's cultivated like you've been in the league like 5, 6, 7 years. But mentally, if they're still like 15-year-old boys. They got these things where they burning it on both ends. And that's why things don't tend to pan out or they bust, because they burn up the can at both ends.
The CTE situation over the last couple of weeks. And obviously, you know what happened in Manhattan. I saw what you thought about the CTE situation. What are your thoughts to the NFL in protecting the players? And what do you think the NFL needs to do for former players to help them move forward in their lives?
Well, obviously, CTE is real. And I think you have to mitigate it, which I think the NFL has done in a lot of ways, being pushed by the PA to come up with all these health and safety protocols that have really gotten better. The culture has shifted, because when I played and had a concussion, I was going back out in the game. I don't care what you told me. Now, guys feel okay to go tell a guy or a teammate feels okay getting a guy out. So that the culture has shifted in that regard. In terms of my son plays football. I think there's ways to play a inherently dangerous game in a safe way possible, whether it's from equipment, right? I got him like the light helmet that I love, #1 rated helmet by UVA, who does some good things. So from a parent perspective and a player perspective, what is the best equipment out there that I can wear to help me mitigate some of those things? The Q ring as well. there's some things there. And then coaches, right? How are coaches putting yourself in position to tackle safely, still forceful, but as safe as possible, and not doing these stupid drills? And you don't really see that at the NFL level. You really see it at the youth level more so than anything else. And I think this education, that's why I do a lot of things on my social media in that regard. And then, some of the stuff is unfortunate. And I think everybody understands when you play, like, there's a potentiality that I could develop CT. I may even have it now, right? Because I've played so long, but that's not most people's reality. Most people play, probably 5 to 6 years, depending on where you get drafted. But what I have found, because I have a lot of guys like Ray Brown, played 20 years, offensive lineman, right? Darryl Green, 20 years. These dudes are still thriving, right? And so some of it's probably genetic, but they also they're still engaged. I think when guys get away from the game and they don't stay engaged from a physical standpoint, how am I taking care of myself? How am I continue to learn, right? Those things help push that stuff down the road a little bit. And so I think it's a holistic thing that we have to continue to help guys. And the NFL is way different because a lot of guys that suffer from it, you look at them, like the 60s, 70s, right? They were smoking in the locker room, drinking in the locker room, right? It's a whole different shift in mind game now. And so we have to continue to support those guys and meet them where they're at with CBA benefits and all those stuff. But I think the league and the PA and overall the coaches are going in the right way when we're aware of it and trying to find out what's the best way to have our game but also be as safe as possible.
Well, you're one of very few guys that we've interviewed that really stands behind what the PA is doing and what the NFL is doing to help the players. So I respect you and your thoughts. And you're very interesting. And I wish we could keep you on long. I know you're pretty busy and you're doing a lot of things. So we appreciate the time as always. Why don't you tell the fans a little bit about what you're doing offset on trying to help some of the kids and some of the stuff that you're doing off the field?
Well, first, I'll give a shout out to my daughter. She's turning 17 today, Zoe Alexander. So I'm headed to her birthday dinner. So that's what's keeping me busy. But, on social media, _John, I have an applied pressure performance and really just trying to help shift the culture in youth sports, right? You hear about AAU basketball, people fighting at football games, betting on football games, kids getting concussions, kids cussing, adults fight. It's just a lot of stuff that's going on because everybody's fighting I want my kid to go to the league or I want to win these AU championships. And that's not what youth sports is about. And so just trying to give my perspective, being an athlete, being a dad, being a guy that's out here coaching now, cultivating what I found to be the most important, and that's inside out coaching. Joe Ehrmann wrote a great book about it, right? We're trying to cultivate strong people by using the simulated adversity that sports creates on a day-to-day basis, right? And so sports reveals character, right? And as coaches, then it's my obligation to help that young man or young lady develop into the best person they can be. Because we know, and it's studied that student athletes typically do the best, whether in corporate America, right? Wherever they find themselves, they do really well because they've been tried, true, and tested over and over and over again. So that's what I'm doing. That's what the type of stuff I'm putting out there. I have my podcast as well, Applied Pressure Podcast, that just trying to help people find like the real advocates and people out there that are doing it the right way.
Well, we really appreciate the time as always. And I would love to get you on the show in the very near future so we can kind of go the ins and the outs. I would love to know your take of where you see the NFL and who do you think is going to challenge the Buffalo Bills in the AFC this year? Obviously, Lamar Jackson has an opportunity, and the Baltimore Ravens. But we really appreciate the time, man. Congratulations. Happy birthday to your daughter. And let's get you on very, very soon so we can finish this interview, bud.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll jump back on. I'll find some time and get with you guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Lorenzo Alexander, ladies and gentlemen, 15-year NFL linebacker. And yes, he mentioned the ghosts as Sam Darnold's ghost live again from another Buffalo Bills player. I love it. Buffalo Bills and Patriot players, they love to attack my New York Jets.
It's funny.
I love it.
It's funny. Lorenzo was mentioning there's a lot of Bills fans in Arizona. Remember John Fina, the ex-offensive lineman for the Bills? Yes. When he came on the show, you two had a heated debate when Aaron Rodgers was first being traded over there or something like that. It was funny. I am
just completely sick to my stomach, and I know I don't care what he says. I know for a fact Lorenzo mentioned the ghost thing because he knows they see ghosts. Though I don't remember anybody saying that but Sam Darnold. So that was a shot at the Jets. He sat there and made it seem like it wasn't. But as soon as I mentioned it, he smirked on his face. He knew what he was talking about. So that was a good interview. He was fantastic. He gave us a good take of CTE. He's one of very few players we've had on this show that has stuck behind what the NFLPA has done to help players. A lot of these ex-players have taken shots at the NFL, not helping, not really supporting some of these players, offset on the injuries that they had. And you see, and I think he's so articulate on everything that he has said. He didn't really stutter on anything. You could see that he's very confident about his personality and where he sees the league and how the transition of the league could either help football in the future and help the young players grow or hurt football because of people like me who attack the NFL. So, oh, don't I love it?
Roger Goodell and his private jets.
Yes, that was another thing. Yeah. I didn't want to mention it, but Lorenzo looked like he stands very tall and strong about the NFL and what they stand for. I give him a lot of credit because, again, a lot of ex-NFL players that have been on the show really don't respect what the NFL has done for them and stood behind some of these players after these terrible injuries, life-changing injuries they've had after their careers were over. So CTE is for real, as you heard Lorenzo say, and he says he might have CTE, but he won't know as he gets older. It's all genetics, and you'll see how, year in and year out where their bodies are going to transform or change moving forward as they get older. So, and Lorenzo's still young. He's 40 years old. Right. So he's still, to me, he's still a young man. All right. He's a middle-aged man. I won't say young man, but he's a middle-aged man growing and as a now non-professional athlete and a father and a guy that stands for something. So I like everything that I heard from Lorenzo Alexander. He was a great interview, and I'd like to thank Speedy for landing one of these Buffalo Bill players again. So thank you. And again, taking shots at the New York Jets.